He doesn't belong here, my brother told security at the wedding I funded. So I walked in, told the truth, and left him single and alone. What's up, Reddit? Never thought I'd be posting this shit here, but I need to get it off my chest before I lose my goddamn mind. I just nuked my brother's wedding. And no, I don't feel bad about it. Let me start from the beginning. I'm a 34-year-old dude working as a senior project manager for a construction firm in Colorado. Not just any construction firm. We're talking the kind that builds those luxury mountain resorts where rich tech bros drop millions to ski twice a year. Got promoted to lead our biggest project yet last month. Moved out here about 3 years ago for the original promotion. Left everything behind. My hometown, my friends, and my family back in Ohio. But I still sent money home. Still checked in weekly. Still tried to be part of their lives even from 200 miles away. My younger brother Mason, 29 male, has always been my parents' favorite. Not even trying to sound bitter, it's just facts. When we were kids, my baseball games got skipped so they could take him to soccer practice. I was actually pretty good too. Almost got scouted for college ball until I messed up my shoulder junior year. Meanwhile, Mason quit soccer after a season, but still got a new PlayStation to make him feel better about it. When I graduated college, engineering, worked my ass off for that degree, they barely showed. Said my grandma was feeling under the weather, so they couldn't stay long. When Mason dropped out after 2 semesters of partying his ass off and failing every class except gym, they co-signed his apartment lease. You get the picture. Still, I love the kid. He's my brother. So when he came to me 4 years ago with this idea to open a car detailing shop, I listened. He'd always been into cars, I'll give him that. Had posters of Lambos and Ferraris all over his room growing up. Even worked at a car wash for like 3 whole months once. But this detailing business, he had the passion, but zero business sense, and definitely zero credit. The banks laughed him out. So guess who co-signed a $40,000 small business loan? This dumbass right here. I even put down $15,000 of my own money to help with initial equipment. Had to postpone buying a new truck for myself. Was driving a beater with 200,000 miles because of it. Just until the business takes off, he said. I'll have your name off the loan in a year, tops. 4 years later, my name's still on that loan. He's never made a single payment. That's all been me. $1,120 coming out of my account every month like clockwork. But his Instagram? Full of posts about being self-made and building from nothing. Started calling himself an entrepreneur and small business owner like he did it all himself. Posting pics of him working on some CEO's McLaren with captions like, another day, another grind, mobber, build it from brick. Whatever. I never asked for public credit. Never posted about helping him. Never even told our mutual friends. It wasn't about that for me. In my mind, that's what brothers do. They help each other out. Then last year, he met his girl, Elise. Not at a bar or on Tinder like a normal dude. No, he met her at some charity gala he somehow got invited to, probably detailing some rich guy's car who felt bad for him. Rich family, country club membership, daddy's a neurosurgeon. Mom's family owns half the real estate in their county. Suddenly, Mason's hanging with a different crowd. Started dressing different, talking different, traded his Nikes for loafers, started using words like summer as a verb. Oh, we summer in the Hamptons. Who the hell talks like that? Started acting like he came from money too. Last time I visited, Christmas this year, he barely talked to me. Introduced me to Elise as Jake, my cousin who moved out west. I corrected him, thinking it was a weird joke. He laughed it off, but later that night, I overheard him telling her I was technically his brother, but we weren't close growing up. Said I was the black sheep of the family who couldn't handle the pressure of staying in Ohio. What pressure? The pressure of watching him get everything handed to him? At dinner, my mom actually had the balls to brag about how they helped Mason start his business. We believe in supporting entrepreneurship in this family, she said, smiling at Elise's parents. I nearly choked on my turkey. I opened my mouth to say something, but Dad shot me that warning look that said, "Don't you dare make a scene." Same look I'd been getting since I was 10. Keep quiet, keep the peace, keep the myth alive that they're the perfect parents. When I tried showing everyone pictures of the resort project I was managing, a $50 million development that I'd been promoted to lead, my dad cut me off. Nobody wants to hear about concrete foundations at Christmas dinner, Jake. 5 minutes later, he spent 20 minutes letting Mason describe in excruciating detail how he detailed some local doctor's Tesla. The effing double standards never end. But I let it slide. Family, right? Cut to last week. I'm scrolling through Facebook and see my cousin Tara post a photo. Can't wait for the Williams-Parker wedding this weekend. Mason and Elise. What the actual fuck? My brother is getting married this weekend and nobody told me? I immediately called my mom. My hands were shaking as I scrolled to her contact, that picture of her gardening from 2 summers ago, staring back at me. 3 rings. My stomach knotted tighter with each one. Hello? Her voice was cheerful. Too cheerful. Hey, Mom, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. How's everything back home? Oh, fine, fine. Your father's back is acting up again. But you know how he is. Won't see the doctor. She sounded distracted, like she was doing something else while talking to me. Probably prepping for the wedding I wasn't supposed to know about. That's too bad. I took a deep breath. So I was just on Facebook and saw something interesting. Tara posted about Mason getting married this weekend. The silence on the other end was deafening. I could practically hear her mind racing, trying to formulate an explanation. She's not even going to deny it. Holy shit. Mom? You still there? Jake. Her voice dropped to that tone she used when she got caught in a lie. How did you find out about that? My stomach dropped. So it's true? What the hell, Mom? Why am I just finding out about this now? My voice cracked despite my efforts to stay calm. I heard her sigh, that martyred sound she'd perfected over the years. Mason and Elise wanted to keep it small, just immediate family and close friends. The words hit me like a physical blow. I actually pulled the phone away and stared at it for a second, wondering if I'd heard her correctly. I am immediate family, I said, my voice rising despite myself. I'm his brother. The brother who's been bankrolling his life for 4 years. The brother who's been dutifully calling home every Sunday. The brother who… You know what I mean, she replied, her voice taking on that dismissive tone I knew so well. People who are present in his life. Present in his life? Something inside me just snapped. All those years of sending money home, of being the responsible one, of putting my own life on hold to help them, and this was what I got in return? I hung up without another word, staring at my blank phone screen. My reflection looked back at me, and I barely recognized myself. The dutiful son, the supportive brother, the family ATM. I opened my laptop and booked a flight to Ohio right then and there. $1,200 for a last-minute ticket, but I didn't care. Had to use my emergency credit card, the one I keep for actual emergencies. Guess finding out you've been erased from your family qualifies. They want me to be absent from their lives? Fine. I'll show up and make my absence permanent. Little did I know how deep this betrayal actually went. Landing in Cleveland, I rented a car and drove straight to my parents' house. The whole way there, I kept thinking, maybe this was all a miscommunication. Maybe they were planning to surprise me. Maybe there was some explanation that would make sense of all this. I even practiced some chill responses in my head. Oh, you guys got me. Good one. That kind of shit. I was dead wrong. Mom opened the door looking like she'd seen a ghost. She was wearing one of those fancy mother of the groom outfits. Hair freshly done. Makeup all perfect. Preparing for her son's wedding. Just not for both sons to be there. Jake, what are you doing here? She was already on the defensive. What do you think I'm doing here? My brother's getting married tomorrow and somehow I wasn't invited. She let me in reluctantly. Dad was sitting at the kitchen table, newspaper in hand like it was just another Thursday. He'd already started graying when I left, but now he was almost fully silver. Still had that same disapproving look, though, the one I'd seen my whole life whenever I didn't meet some invisible standard. Son, he said without getting up, this is unexpected. Yeah, no shit. So is finding out about Mason's wedding through Facebook. Mom sighed. We were going to call you after. It's complicated. Uncomplicate it for me then. That's when it all started coming out. Mason had been telling Elise and her family that he built his detailing business from nothing, that he was a self-made entrepreneur who never took handouts, that his family, meaning our parents, had always been financially comfortable but distant. According to this bullshit story, he'd overcome all odds alone. He even told them I was a distant cousin who moved away years ago because I couldn't hack it in the real world, that I was jealous of his success, that I'd been trying to mooch off him ever since his business took off. He's trying to make a good impression on her family, Mom explained. They're very successful people. He didn't want them to know he needed help. Help? I co-signed his freaking business loan. My name is still on it. I've been making the payments for 4 years. Dad finally looked up from his newspaper. Keep your voice down. Mason and Elise are at the rehearsal dinner, but they'll be back later. I paced around the kitchen. The same kitchen where I'd helped Mom bake cookies as a kid, where Dad taught Mason how to tie a tie, but told me to figure it out because I was older. So many memories in this house, but suddenly I felt like a stranger. And that's not all, I said, suddenly remembering something. Mom, those family expenses you asked me to help with 6 months ago, The $12,000 I sent. Was that for this wedding? The way she avoided eye contact told me everything. You have to understand, she started. The Parkers are paying for most of it, but we needed to contribute something. We couldn't look like we couldn't afford to help with our own son's wedding. We needed to look good for the Parkers, Mom said, not even trying to hide it anymore. You wouldn't understand. Appearance matters. And my feelings don't, Dad scoffed. Oh, here we go with the feelings again. You've always been too sensitive. Mason knows how to play the game. The game of lying, of taking my money while pretending I don't exist. It's not like you need the money, Mom said dismissively. No wife, no kids. What do you even spend it on up there in the mountains? Protein shakes and hiking boots? She laughed like she'd said something clever. I stared at her. I'm saving for a house, Mom, which you'd know if you ever asked about my life instead of just my bank account. Well, when you decide to start a real life instead of playing mountain man, maybe we'll have something to talk about, Dad muttered. I sat down, feeling like I'd been punched in the stomach. I'd been working overtime for months to save up for a down payment on a house in Colorado. Had my eye on this perfect place with mountain views and a garage big enough for a workshop. That $12,000 was a big chunk of my savings. So you lied to me. Took my money for a wedding I wasn't even invited to. You're being dramatic, Dad said. It's just a wedding. You can see the pictures after. I stared at him, unable to process the level of disrespect. Where are they having it? I asked. Jake. Mom had that warning tone. Where is the wedding? Lakeview Gardens, Dad answered. But don't even think about. I was already heading for the door. Jake, please, Mom called after me. If you show up there tomorrow, you'll embarrass us all. Mason has worked so hard to build this relationship. I turned back. No, Mom. I worked hard. I worked hard for every dollar I sent home. I worked hard to help Mason when no one else would. And this is how you repay me? By erasing me? I left without waiting for an answer. Checked into a hotel and spent the night staring at the ceiling, piecing together years of being used by the people who were supposed to love me most. By morning, I knew exactly what I had to do. Lakeview Gardens is one of those fancy wedding venues with manicured lawns and a little man-made lake, the kind with stone pathways and pergolas covered in flowers. Costs a fortune to book, especially in June. I knew because I'd apparently paid for part of it. I showed up about an hour before the ceremony was scheduled to start. Dressed well, dark blue suit, no tie, casual but appropriate. I wasn't there to look like some angry outsider. I wanted to blend in just enough to get past security. At the entrance, a guy with a clipboard stopped me. Name, sir? Jake Williams. I'm the groom's brother. He scanned his list, flipped a page, then looked back up. I'm sorry, sir. I don't see you on the guest list. There must be a mistake. I'm Mason Williams' brother. Sir, I have strict instructions about the guest list. If you're not on it, I can't let you in. I could see past him into the venue. People were already arriving, being seated by ushers. I recognized some faces. Family friends, cousins, my high school baseball coach who'd always treated me like a son. People who'd known me my entire life, all dressed up to celebrate my brother while pretending I didn't exist. Look, just call Mason or my parents. They'll clear this up. The guy sighed but made a call. Within minutes, my mom came hurrying out, looking flustered. Jake, what are you doing here? We talked about this. No, you talked. I never agreed to be erased from my own brother's life. She pulled me aside, lowering her voice. Please don't make a scene. The Parkers are inside. This is such an important day for Mason. Important enough to lie about who he is? Who I am? Mason didn't want the in-laws asking questions about money, she hissed. You wouldn't understand. You're too blunt, always needing credit for things. That hit me like a slap. When had I ever asked for credit? When had I ever bragged about helping them? I helped because it was the right thing to do, and I was happy to do it. Not because I needed a damn parade thrown in my honor. I wasn't the one out here flexing on Instagram, pretending to be a self-made king while someone else made the loan payments. I wasn't chasing trophies or fake handshakes. I stayed quiet. I stayed solid. And this was the thanks. It didn't even sting. It just clicked. Like flipping on a light in a room I should have left years ago. She didn't know me. None of them did. Dad appeared next, looking annoyed rather than concerned. Son, you need to leave. This isn't the time or place. I want to talk to Mason. He's getting ready. He doesn't need this distraction. Distraction? Is that what I am now? Dad shook his head. You've always been smart with money. No kids, no house, no drama. You're fine. Why make this about you? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Because I'd been responsible with my life. Because I hadn't created problems. I somehow deserved to be treated like this? Before I could respond, Mason appeared in the doorway. He was in his tux, looking perfect, except for the rage on his face when he saw me. Designer suit, probably. Hair perfectly styled with that slight wave that girls love. He'd been hitting the gym too, filled out since Christmas, looking like the perfect groom. He stormed over. What the hell are you doing here? I heard my brother was getting married. Strangely, my invitation must have gotten lost in the mail. You should have known you weren't really invited, he snapped. It wasn't personal. It was strategic. You have a big mouth. You'd make it all about you like you always do. I looked at him, and his insecurities were practically screaming through his clenched jaw. Like watching a toddler in a designer suit. What a joke. Make it about me? Cool theory, bro. When exactly did I do that? When I silently co-signed your loan? Or maybe when I funded your business without telling a soul? Oh wait, maybe when I unknowingly bankrolled this wedding you didn't invite me to? Yeah, I'm clearly attention-seeking. He glanced nervously toward the entrance, clearly worried someone might overhear. Then he leaned in, voice dripping with contempt. You think you're so much better than everyone because you have a corporate job and a degree? Big freaking deal. I'm building something real, something mine. And I don't need you lording it over Elise's family about how you helped me. I earned this. Earned it? I let out a short laugh and shook my head. With what money exactly? Remind me again who makes your loan payments? Who bought your initial equipment? Man, I should take notes on your version of earning things. Sounds way easier than actually paying for stuff. Whatever, he hissed. Just because you write some checks doesn't mean you get to be part of my life. You chose to leave. You chose Colorado over family. Don't act surprised when family chooses not to include you. I left for a job, genius, I said, keeping my voice casual like we were discussing the weather. A job that apparently funds your life. Consider this my resignation as your personal ATM. He looked around frantically. Keep your voice down. Elise's family is inside. Oh, right. The family you've been bullshitting. Should we go chat with them about your self-made success story? I bet they'd love to hear how the business was actually built. His face paled. You wouldn't. I straightened my jacket and gave him my best customer service smile. Watch me. I walked past Mason toward the entrance of the venue. The security guy tried to stop me, but I was past caring. Sir, you can't try and stop me, I said, not even looking at him. Something in my voice must have warned him not to push it. Maybe it was the look in my eyes, the look of a man with nothing left to lose. Inside, the venue was gorgeous. Money everywhere you looked. My money, partly. The money I'd been sending home thinking it was for something important, not knowing it was for a celebration I wasn't welcome at. I saw Elise. She was standing with an older couple who had to be her parents. Same sharp features, same confident stance. The perfect family my brother wanted so desperately to join. Mason rushed in behind me with our parents close behind. Jake, don't do this, he pleaded quietly, grabbing my arm. I shook him off. By now, people were starting to stare. The music faltered. Heads turned. Whispers started. Who's that? Why does he look so angry? Elise spotted Mason and smiled, then noticed me and the look on her face. Confusion, then concern. She started walking over, her parents following. Her father had that CEO look. Mason, is everything okay? She asked. Who's this? Mason, is everything okay? She asked. Who's this? Mason's face was a mask of panic. This is Jake. I'm his brother, I finished for him. His only brother, actually. Strange we haven't met before. Confusion crossed her face. Brother? I thought. She looked at Mason. You said your brother was a distant cousin who moved away years ago. That's not exactly, Mason started. Not exactly true, I finished. I'm not distant, and I'm definitely not a cousin. I'm the guy whose name is on the loan for Mason's detailing business. The business he claims he built from scratch without any help. Elise's father stepped forward, almost my height but carrying himself like he was 7 feet tall. What's he talking about, Mason? Mason looked like he might be sick. Mr. Parker, I can explain. He's saying I co-signed the $40,000 loan that started his business. I put down $15,000 of my own money for equipment. And for 4 years, I've been making the payments because he never has. The room had gone completely silent. Everyone was watching now. The string quartet had stopped playing. Even the catering staff had paused to watch the drama unfold. I'm also the guy who apparently helped pay for this wedding without knowing it. My mother asked me for money for family expenses 6 months ago. $12,000 that went to this venue, these flowers, that dress, I said, pointing around the room. All for a wedding I wasn't even invited to. Elise looked at Mason, then at his parents, then back at me. Is this true? Mason's face had gone from panic to anger. Jake, you need to leave, now. Or what? You'll have security throw out the guy who's been bankrolling your life? The brother you're ashamed of because he doesn't fit your fake rich kid narrative? Parker's face had hardened. Mason, I think we need to have a conversation. In private. Sir, this isn't what it looks like, Mason tried. Actually, it's exactly what it looks like, I said. He's been lying to you about who he is, about his business, about me. He didn't want me here because I know the truth. Elise was now staring at Mason like she'd never seen him before, like she was seeing the mask slip for the first time. You told me you built that business yourself, that no one ever helped you. I did build it myself, Mason insisted. Then why is his name on the loan? Parker asked. His tone was deadly quiet, the kind of quiet that comes before a storm. Mason had no answer. I turned to go, my point made. I'd said what I came to say. The damage was done. But before I reached the door, I heard Elise say something that stopped me in my tracks. The wedding's off. I didn't stick around for the fallout. Didn't need to see Mason's face crumble, or hear the shocked gasps of the guests, or watch Elise's family pull her away. I'd done what I came to do, but I didn't feel triumphant. I felt hollow, like I'd finally won a game that had been rigged against me from the start, but the prize wasn't worth it. Outside, the June sunshine seemed too cheerful for what had just happened. I loosened my collar and walked toward my rental car. My phone lit up like a Christmas tree before I even made it my car. The Williams family circus was in full swing. Aunt Linda, how could you embarrass the family like this? After everything they've done for you, Uncle Rob, real men support their brothers, not tear them down. Cousin Ryan, dude, what the actual fuck is wrong with you? Mason's been crying for an hour. I scrolled through the messages with the same enthusiasm I'd have for a root canal. Everything they've done for me? Right. Must have missed all those charitable acts between the gaslighting and ATM withdrawals. And Ryan, the same cousin whose car down payment I helped with last year because he was in a rough spot. Funny how his memory works better for Mason's tears than my bank transfers. The family group chat was peak comedy. Someone had actually started a thread titled Jake's Meltdown. Adorable. Apparently expecting basic human decency makes me the unstable one. My favorite was from cousin Steph, who I'd helped move across country for free when her boyfriend kicked her out. She wrote, "Always knew Jake had issues. Remember how he wouldn't let Mason borrow his car in high school? Yeah, cool story, Steph. Conveniently forgetting the part where he'd already turned my bike into modern art and never replaced it. These people had selective memory that would impress an amnesiac. The only thing they remembered about me was when I occasionally had the audacity to say no to their endless requests. I closed my phone and kept walking. Behind me, I heard footsteps running. I turned, half expecting to see Mason coming to throw a punch. Instead, it was my cousin Tara, the one whose Facebook post had alerted me to the wedding in the first place. We'd been close as kids. She'd always been kind to me, even when my own brother wasn't. "Jake, wait!" she called. I stopped, suddenly tired. The adrenaline was wearing off, leaving me drained. "What, Tara?" She caught up, slightly out of breath in her bridesmaid dress. Light blue, matching the wedding colors. "I didn't know," she said. "About any of it. About the loan, about the money for the wedding? I swear. But you knew I wasn't invited." She looked down. "Yeah, I did. They told everyone you couldn't make it because of work, that you were too busy to come back for the wedding." I laughed bitterly. "And everyone just believed that? No one thought to ask me directly?" "I'm sorry," she said, and she looked it. "I should have called you. I didn't want to get in the middle. Too late for that now." She nodded, then surprised me by hugging me quickly. "For what it's worth, I think what you did took guts. Mason's been different since he met Elise. Like he's been playing a part." I didn't respond. What was there to say? "What are you going to do now?" she asked. "Go back to my hotel. Fly home tomorrow. Get on with my life. And Mason, your parents?" I shrugged. "That's up to them." As I drove away, my phone started blowing up. First my mom, then my dad, then Mason. Text messages, voicemails. I didn't read or listen to any of them. Just kept driving, windows down, letting the summer air clear my head. I thought about stopping at my old favorite burger joint, the one where Dad used to take us after Little League games. The one where he'd buy Mason a milkshake when his team won, but tell me to toughen up when mine lost. Decided against it. Some memories are better left in the past. Back at the hotel, I ordered room service, a massive steak and fries. Comfort food. Put on a basketball game I didn't care about just for the noise. Sat on the bed staring at the wall, trying to process everything. Around 8 p.m., there was a knock at my door. I opened it to find my parents standing there. They looked older somehow, defeated, but there was anger in their eyes too. "May we come in?" Mom asked stiffly. I stepped aside. They entered but didn't sit down. You've ruined everything, Dad said without preamble. The Parkers called off the wedding. They're demanding their money back. Mason's devastated. I ruined everything? I repeated. That's rich. You could have just let it go, Mom said. Was your pride really worth destroying your brother's chance at happiness? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. This isn't about pride. It's about years of being used, being lied about, being erased. It's about my own family treating me like an ATM instead of a person. We never asked for that much, Dad argued. It's not about the amount. It's that you asked at all. For a wedding I wasn't even invited to. It's that Mason has been lying about me, about himself, about everything. He was trying to make something of himself, Mom insisted. The Parkers have connections. This could have set him up for life. So that makes it okay to pretend I don't exist? To lie about who paid for his business? They didn't have an answer for that. Where is Mason now? I asked. At our house, Dad said. Probably crying into his pillow thanks to you. Has he called the bank yet? To get my name off that loan? Mom looked confused. What? No, of course not. There's been a crisis, Jake. A crisis he created by lying, I pointed out. And neither of you seem to care about that part. Dad shook his head. You've always been jealous of Mason. Always resented him for being more social, more likable. I stared at my father in disbelief. Is that really what you think? That I'm jealous of my brother? I helped him. I supported him. I wanted him to succeed. I just didn't want to be treated like shit in return. You've always been dramatic, Mom said dismissively, making everything into a bigger deal than it needs to be. And that's when I knew. Nothing I could say would ever make them see my side. In their eyes, I would always be the problem. The difficult son. The one who didn't fit the narrative they wanted for their family. I think you should go, I said quietly. Jake, Mom started. We're done here. Tell Mason he has 30 days to get my name off that loan, or I'm calling the bank myself. As for you two, don't contact me again. You've made your choice clear. Dad's face hardened. You don't mean that. I've never meant anything more in my life. They left without another word. Just walked out like they'd done so many times before, leaving me alone to deal with the fallout of their choices. I sat back down on the bed, picked up my forgotten steak, now cold, and felt a strange sense of peace wash over me. For the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe. It's been 3 weeks since I nuked my brother's wedding. 3 weeks of silence from my family. No calls from Mason about the loan. No texts from my parents asking how I am. Just nothing. But I'm okay with that. Better than okay, actually. Back in Colorado, the mountains seem clearer somehow. Like my vision's improved. I can see the peaks better, appreciate the view from my apartment more. I've been reflecting on how much energy I've spent over the years trying to keep connections with people who saw me as nothing more than a safety net. How much of myself I've given to people who couldn't even be bothered to invite me to a wedding I helped pay for. Yesterday, I called the bank and explained the situation with Mason's loan. Started the process of removing myself from it. The bank officer was surprisingly understanding when I laid it all out. Said it happens more often than people think. It'll hurt my credit, but less than if he defaults entirely. The banker actually said something that stuck with me. Family loans are the worst kind. Money and blood don't mix well. No shit. I also did something I should have done years ago. I blocked their numbers. All of them. Mom, Dad, Mason. Not out of anger anymore, but because I need a clean break to move forward. It's like amputating a limb that's gone gangrene. Hurts like hell, but it's the only way to heal. Tara called once to check on me. Said Mason and Elise are talking things through and might still get married, just with a smaller ceremony and less lying. Apparently, Mr. Parker was willing to forgive the deception if Mason came clean about everything and started making his own loan payments. Elise was torn, embarrassed by the scene but still in love with him. Tara asked if I'd consider reconciling with them if they apologized. I told her some bridges can't be rebuilt once they're burned. This is one of them. The strangest part? I don't feel sad anymore. I thought cutting off my family would feel like losing a limb. Instead, it feels like putting down a weight I've been carrying so long I forgot it was there. My coworkers have noticed the difference. My boss mentioned I seem lighter somehow, more focused. Said I'm being considered for another promotion, heading up our new project in Seattle. A woman from accounting asked me out for coffee yesterday. Amy, smart, funny, doesn't take any shit. I said yes. We're going rock climbing this weekend. I know there are people reading this who will say, I went too far. That family is family, and you should forgive them no matter what. But those people haven't lived my life, haven't had the people who are supposed to love them the most treat them like an inconvenient truth. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do isn't to keep forgiving. It's to finally say enough and walk away. So that's what I'm doing, walking away. Not because I'm running from my problems, but because I'm finally running toward my own life. Mason wants to pretend he's self-made? Fine. Now he actually has to be. My parents want to act like I'm the unreasonable one? Fine. They can do it without my support. For years, I thought being a good son and brother meant sacrificing for my family. Now I realize being good to myself matters just as much.